Purpose. I tell people all the time that you were created on purpose for a purpose. You know, it might have surprised your parents that you showed up here, but you were no surprise to God. He already had your life in his heart. So take some time today, spend some time with your Father. Make sure you seek him for what your purpose is. And I promise you that the thing you're looking for in the universe is already inside of you. The gift of life and purpose, God has already put inside of you. And let me tell you, the best days that you live in your life will be those days where, number one, you're in God's will. Number two, living your purpose that he put you here for. All right, you guys, you're back live with Regina Sunshine and the Boss Man here on the Living Like a Boss show on Instinct Radio. And before I introduce our first guest, I do want to give a shout out to Reginald Brown, who's the owner of JR Cricket's MLK right across the street from our station. He was going to be here today, but as it often happens when you're an entrepreneur, somebody didn't show up for work.
Right.
So he had to go in there and make sure the business is running like it's supposed to run. So just a big thank you to him. He has partnered with me on multiple events now to make sure that I had a space that they could accommodate my guests and we could have a great time in fellowship. We did my birthday concert there. So thank you, Reginald, for always being a blessing to us here at Instinct Radio. All right. No, so it's fitting that as we talk about being a blessing to Instinct Radio, we introduce a new official member of the Instinct Radio family. Welcome to the show, Jamal Webb.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. I think he wants you to go over there and get that applause machine going for him.
You know what? But you know what? You got to encourage yourself. If don't nobody else clap for you, you got to clap. That's right there. I was in there. Yeah.
Well, there we go, Ned. Well, see, I remember Saga Boss making a post that, you know, they were doing some changes on the DTTO show, and he announced that you were going to be doing a very positive segment on that show. So I was like, oh, let's have him on. We need to hear about what he's doing. So before we get into that, tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay. Well, I am Jamal Webb, a.k.a. the World Wide Web, as they call me. That name is just so funny because entering the entertainment industry, I was so timid, so shy, like, you know, I was intimidated, like everybody's experience and everything. But with my energy and positivity, somebody say, you know what, you're going global. You're gonna be the World Wide Web. Mm-hmm. So I'm a father, husband, minister, actor, model, major event host. I could cook for you if you want me to. I can, you know, I attend different churches and universities talking to young people. Young people are my heartstrings. So whenever I do inspirational speaking or spoken word or anything like that, it's really geared towards young people. So I'm from Palm Beach, Florida. I ain't from here, y'all. You know, and it's hard to find people. I ain't from here, but I'm from Palm Beach, Florida. I'm a preacher's kid. My dad's church is in Miami, Greater New Hope, and I moved here to just expand the brand. So.
Wow, you gave a whole list of amazing things. So before we get into, I guess, I'll say ministry and service part of things, you mentioned the entertainment industry up front. Mm-hmm. How did you get into the entertainment industry?
Oh, man. I've been an actor all my life. I think I came out the womb acting like, hey, where my academy? Like, it was serious business. My mom has always been an actor, and she's worked with numerous people. And so I just always looked at her and said, you know what, I could do that too. And then growing up, even as a younger person, I always like, you know, what can I do to make a difference? And I know how God often speaks about how you can use your gifts and talents to do so. And I know that acting was my thing. I can get on the stage, improv. I can memorize lines really quick. And then people saw that and they wanted to work with that. Yeah. And so I would be in numerous stage plays back in Palm Beach. I did Our Town by Thornton Wilder. I was in The Crucible, Sweat by Zora Neale Hurston, and things like that. And it kept going. And so with the acting comes the exposure to modeling. And Morris Antonio, who was just here, wanted me to be his brand ambassador. And with that, you know, you did some more networking. And then with that comes event hosting. Somebody want me to host events, say, hey, can you do that? And so it was just stumbling. And with that being outgoing and assertive, having a major heart for people. And then most of all, being directed by God. People know that I am not ashamed of who I am. I love God. I love just everything that he's doing in my life. So I always know that only what I do for Christ will last.
That's awesome. So you talk about your love for people.
Oh,
you
man.
talk about your passion for young people.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you developed, I guess, growing up being a part of a family that was in ministry?
Yes. I saw how, like I said, a lot of people, they say, who's your mentor? Who's your role model? And, people name these celebrities and they name, big people. Like, I look up to my mom and my dad, my parents. I saw how they would even open up their doors to people who were lost, people, who didn't have, and they had a passion for young people, how they were so just, of course they had this big church, but then they thought about, let me zone in on Sunday school, like the youth Sunday school. Like, let me teach these young people, train up a child in the way that they should go when they're old, they will not depart from it. So I saw that foundation and saw that how it made so much of a difference. These young people took that, and as they progressed and as they got older, they never forgot it, and they just blossomed into these people that turned around and then gave back, and they turned around and make a difference, and turned around and had something big, had something major. So I saw that, and you know what? I say, if my parents could do that, I'm gonna follow in their footsteps. Keep the legacy. Keep how you living.
Yes.
How you living? What's your legacy?
Yeah. Well, I can identify with that because I've told people before it was nothing for us to wake up and my dad had brought home somebody.
Oh my
somebody
God.
strange on the couch.
Oh my God.
Who is that?
They eating your cereal. Okay, sitting in your breakfast chair. Okay, no, I sit right there. Them my Cheerios.
Yeah, and so we have a whole group of people now that we call extended family. We call brothers and uncles, just people my father found and brought home, and just we took care of them. So I can understand because I saw that example, and that's just the way you live. That's just the way you treat people, and so you begin to duplicate that in your own life.
That's
awesome, Michael Supreme. I know you got something to ask about these youth.
Man, we'll get to the youth piece. I'm curious what you're doing right now for the foundation for the church here. The expansion project.
Good. Well, I attend Love Life Christian Fellowship in Ellerwood, Georgia. Pastor Grace C. Washington, who is a friend of my parents. That's how I found her. I was like, oh, Grace up there. I got to go to the church. I became a minister under her. So I'm a new minister, and I'm the youngest minister in my church. But what I'm doing right now, which actually brought me to Instinct Radio and opened up a door, is called 5 Minutes of Faith. And you'll see on Facebook, if anybody ever follows me on Facebook, where I upload like every other day, and I have this 5 minutes of faith. It's an encouraging word. I just talk about vision. I talk about restoration. I believe I did one on provision, and just trying to get them. I'm a minister who's more spiritual than religious.
Definitely.
If you can understand that. I don't believe in being in a box or a wall, and then I'm all inclusive.
Right.
Because I have that big heart for people. I don't care what you look like, who you are. If I can make a difference and spill some knowledge to you and give you some 5 minutes of faith, I do that every other day and just post it. And then and then
that's a nice photo.
Oh no, I like that
nice
photo. Listen,
brother.
they actually put that on the flyer without my permission. I didn't even know that they had that. I didn't even know that. I said, he's like, here's your flyer. I was like, where you get that photo from?
Right.
Yeah,
they be scouting, boy.
Yeah, but I do that now, and I feel that that's my platform. Growing up, of course, you hear about how a lot of people say, "Hey, you make a difference. Like, you changed my life. You done something," and I'm like, well, what is my actual platform? Like, what did I do? Of course, through my life, as a teacher, as an inspirational speaker, maybe so. But I often talk about living a legacy and leaving a legacy. And I say, how you living? How are you living? How are you really changing somebody's life? And when I leave this world, I want something to be attached to me. And I felt that was my platform, the 5 minutes of faith, as the expansion.
And that's crazy. The last piece that you mentioned, like, it's crazy because I just did a post on Instagram the other day where I was talking about this whole tombstone concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, when people die, there's two numbers on your tombstone, and the only thing that matters in those numbers is that little dash in between, what you make it mean, right?
Hey.
And so it's like a lot of times people just live and float, and they're not thinking like, okay, cool, like, I have to leave a mark. Like, because I was here, like, two things can happen. Like, you can be here and just exist in the world, or you could exist in the world to change the world.
To change the world.
So you got to people have to make a decision. on where they're going to be and what they do. And I think it's phenomenal what you're doing as far as being outside of the box, because we know as millennials and the way we think, a lot of us not even going to fall in the church, right? A lot of us aren't going to do it, so we got to get them in the unconventional way. And then when you look at the way Jesus moved back in the day, like the church was a place of fellowship, but dude was in the streets, connecting with the people the way the people needed to be connected with.
He sat amongst the people.
And so that vehicle for the videos that you're doing, it's phenomenal,
man,
because it's a different way to us, a different way to reach people. And when you look at how social media driven we are, and you look at YouTube, like how many views people get off of YouTube, like, dude.
Worldwide Web.
Worldwide Web. Listen. I'm big at speaking things into existence and writing the vision. Watch what I tell you. Somebody spoke that over my life. They say you're going global, and that's always stuck with me. And I don't even say I'm going global. My vision is I am global. I am global.
You are already, because when you look at what Facebook is, you just post one thing and it get in the right hands and it's everywhere.
It is.
So it's like it's not about being it's being intentional, and it's calling it as it is, because I talk to people when the hurricanes were hitting, right? My mom was like, they do a prayer call every morning. My mom, my uncle, and their group of friends, right? And so my uncle got on the prayer call. It was his time to pray, right? And so instead of praying, dude did a whole sermon. And he was talking about this piece when Jesus and his disciples were on the water, right? And when they were on the water, the disciples were all frustrated and going crazy because the water was crazy and Jesus was just in there sleeping, calm, at peace. He's like, they're like, do you not love us, right? Do you not love us that you're going to sit up here and let us die? And what did Jesus do when he set up? Oh, ye who have little faith.
You have little faith.
Ye who have little faith. And then he turned to the water and spoke to the water and said, peace be still. And it's like what my uncle was saying in the midst of all of that and the storms and the chaos. It's like, bro, you just have to be at peace. But what God gave me in that moment is like, it's not just about the peace. It's about speaking to the situation the way it's supposed to be. Because Jesus got up and he commanded his environment to do what he desired it to do.
Furthermore, he talked about ye of little faith. It's gonna take big faith. You gotta have major faith.
The crazy thing, ye of little faith, they had no idea that they could do the same exact thing. The same exact thing. It's like I have to wake you up because you're the only one. But it's like you're not the only one.
Furthermore, how did they forget that he was down there with them? He was with them.
Yes,
he was with them.
Exactly.
That's the. I guess in doing systematic theology, and then of course a lot of people go to church and they hear the sermon, but you ain't really taking in these words. Right. And sometimes, a lot of times when I hear sermons or I hear people speak the word, I go back and try to figure out what was God really saying. What was God? Because I think that in the moments of trials and tribulations, in the moments of storms, it go out the window. People they forgot that Jesus was with them. Right. He was with them, and I think that when people remember that, hey, no matter what, God is he's with me. Always. He's with me. Always. Then you won't be people of little faith. You have major faith. Y'all don't know. You may see my glory, but you don't know my story. You don't know what it took to get here. And I'm not. Listen. This your show.
Oh, this our show. This our show.
We let God do what God.
Yes. Oh man. Yeah. Don't do it.
This is a space where we allow the Holy Spirit to move freely. And we understand that this is a divinely appointed space for us to have these types of conversations, so people that are listening can tap into the anointing that's here, and they can bless their lives. That's real. All right? So whatever's on your heart to say, don't hold back. Don't hold back. I want you to go ahead and share it. So this whole move with Saga, how did that happen? How did you make that connection?
The modeling industry, like I said, I feel like my life is like TD Jakes. A lot of time he said that he stumbled upon something. He had a vision. He wanted to achieve a goal, but then he stumbled upon it while trying to chase that or push that goal. I think I just stumbled upon a lot of stuff. I have this vision to make a difference. I have this vision to be in the industry, and I just stumbled upon people. I stumbled upon things. I think that's so amazing. Being in the modeling industry, you meet everybody. And I met Saga. He was in a scene with me, and we were just talking. Everybody was just talking, and he was talking about things that he had going on, and I talked about the things that I had going on, and we just switched swapped information, just always kept in contact. Well, he was seeing the things online, the 5 minutes of faith, and he was like, he would call me. He's like, yo, Jamal, like I noticed that you ain't post no 5 minutes of faith. Like we looking for that.
Right.
And I was like, man, that's a blessing that sometimes we get discouraged and we think, oh, there ain't nobody listening to me, like whatever. And it reminded me, like, look, this is your duty. If this is your platform, you got to be consistent. So people are looking for you to do this. So he called me and he was like, hey, Molly, you ain't uploaded 5 minutes of faith. And so it pushed me to do that. And like I said, he said all of a sudden, he said, you know what, I have an idea. Because he said, first, I want you to be a guest and just do a 5 minutes of faith Thursday. So I came, and I think that was the night I talked about, talked about restoration. And he said, man, I have another idea. He said, how about you come on as an official member of the DTTO show and actually do this every Thursday? So then now it keeps up with consistency. Yes. And I was like, you know what, this is a blessing how we want to make a difference. You see your goal, you have your vision, but then God does something better than what you can even imagine.
Absolutely.
I would never imagine me sitting here right now. You know, and then what I like about this is that this isn't it. This isn't it. This is only, I feel like this is only the beginning.
Absolutely. Well, you know, it's so interesting. You talked about stumbling upon or happening upon. I happened upon this whole Regina Sunshine thing. You know, it's never as coincidental as you think it is. It's about being intentional and obedient and serving and God seeing your heart and folks showing up in your life because he directed everything to put them in that space for you. So to you it seems like you happened upon, but he had saga waiting for you. Does that make sense? He loves us. I told my son all the time, my son is an MMA fighter, right? The little town he grew up in, Greenwood, South Carolina, they had a bunch of gyms, but there were no MMA gyms, right? And I kept telling Gary, I said, God loves you enough. I said, he's going to put whoever he needs to put in your path for you to pursue this dream. We're driving down the street in Greenwood one day. I see the word fight out the corner. I said, oh. We spun around and it was a fight gym. Before we even went in the door, I said, God loves you enough that he'll rearrange those people's whole lives to bring them to Greenwood, South Carolina for you and your dream.
But see, it go back to the simplicity. Like, faith without works is dead.
That's right.
And so it's like a lot of people, like, stumbling across something. You can't stumble across anything because if you're moving in a direction, then the only thing that's going to happen is you either going to go this way or you're going to go that way. But as long as you're moving, things are able to come to you.
That's
when
right.
You're moving. But if you're sitting still, like you can't get nothing. It's like people that had that idea of that, and this is crazy. Like, this is my thing, right? Like I would, and I just realized this months ago. It was like you would be so detailed and planning out all of these ideas, but then the crazy thing is, you go to the closet and you go in this box and you realize that this new idea that you just came up with was an idea that you came up with 5 years ago with the exact plan to a T. And it's like, my dude, if you were moving instead of just planning, if you were taking action instead of just thinking, then that's when God's able to attach all of these different things that we stumble upon.
You know, sometimes I look at like self-help gurus, and I tell people all the time, it's like an adverse effect of like personal development and self-help, because you don't want somebody in your head always telling you where you should be and what you should be doing. You should have reached this level by now. And I was talking about, like, what happened to the people who made it successfully that never read your books, right? So just talking about World Wide Web and stumble upon something, Eric Thomas made his first post on YouTube, and for 6 years, nobody went to go and view it. For 6 years.
Listen,
And he still got him up there.
listen, I met the man personally, and just to hear his story, and he sowed a seed in my life that I will never forget. And he just simply said, keep going.
Exactly.
Keep going.
Exactly.
Keep going. Keep going. I look at and don't laugh at me, y'all, but okay, I have a 3-year-old daughter, all right? And you know, we watch Finding Dory and, you know, Finding Nemo. And it's funny how these Disney characters, they have no idea the impact or the things that they say. But I never forget, Dory just kept saying, just keep swimming. She just kept telling Nemo, just keep swimming, of course she don't know what she's saying. She's like we think you're physically like, keep swimming, just keep swimming. But no, like, don't let anything get in your way. Don't let anything stop you. If you keep swimming, you're gonna find your father.
But
Wait a minute, he's looking for his father. You're gonna find your father. Like if you keep swimming, you're gonna get the reward of don't do it to me right now. Don't do it. You said the environment was different today.
Like that's like it takes somebody that thinks on a higher level spiritually to be able to identify the simplicity of what's happening in that simple thing.
Yeah.
Like the crazy thing is, I'm sitting in the tub one day, right? And it's like I had a moment where I wanted to be a child again. So I started thinking about what it felt like to be in the tub with the rubber ducky and all this stuff, and started singing "Roll, roll, roll your boat gently down the stream, merrily, 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 life is but a dream." And when you think about what that song is saying, it's saying move through life at peace and be calm, because this is not real. None of this is real. And that's what we're teaching the kids at a young age. But if you have a spiritual father or a spiritual mother to sit down and say, listen, baby, or get excited about, oh my God, you missed it. And it's like, what did I miss, Daddy? What did I miss? You know, you miss the connection and the beauty of God building through this one movie that's global, you know, that everybody likes and everybody loves, but it's just like the Bible. You look at it, it's just like a sentence, it's just like a room, it's just like whatever it is. People look at it and get whatever they want out of it. But you have to be in a
This right here,
place
oh my
to
God,
be
you
able to
have
see
went
God in
through
the
a
midst of
lot,
everything.
right.
a lot, and you came through it.
Not a religious
thank
place.
God for that.
That's right,
Spiritual
spiritual
place.
place.
Not a religious place, but
Two different things.
Well, you know, let's talk about our young people and reaching them, because, you know, I know everybody here is working with young people in some way. And one of the things, I have a 22-year-old son, and one of the things he told me, I'll never forget this, he was a teenager. He told me, we were talking about young people and church and faith and everything. And he was like, you don't understand. We don't want to hear about God. We want to experience God. And when he said, I got it, I was like, that's why they don't want to just go to church. He said, no, I want to see God move. He said, I want to see the supernatural in my life. He said, that's what we're looking for.
Right.
We want to hear y'all talk no more.
Right.
Y'all don't talk enough
Right.
about God. We want to experience him. And when I got that, I said, all right, that's why the in the walls is not for them.
Right.
They want to see him. They want to be walking and see something happen. Like, oh, that's God.
Yeah.
They want to experience, that's God. So in terms of working with young people, what are you seeing that they're yearning for?
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Or y'all want to go? Yeah.
Yes.
When you said that just now, my mind's always racing. And they need more of the people in the industry, I think. I think right now, they need to see that you can still be cool and still serve God.
Yes.
They need to see more of the people that they look up to, reverence him, and talk about how they got there. And I'm just throwing names. I don't know if their walk with Christ, but let's just say that Dwayne Wade and Gab Union was to sit there and just have a little session about, hey, how do we get to this point? And how God really changed our situation. If they could see the people like that, if we can get the celebrities and the athletes and the people in politics to talk about God, if they could see it and talk about how their walk with Christ, then they say, you know what, that's something I could tap into, because they're so into it. If they can get more of us to upload a 5 minutes of faith, because you'll see that my 5 minutes of faith is based on life experience. It's not something that I'm just reading from the Bible. I'm giving them a life. No, this is what happens to me. When I talk about writing the vision, I talk about moving here, and I just wrote, I am a Bronner Brothers hair model. I knew that Bronner Brothers was stationed here. This is what I wanted to do. I said, I am a Bronner Brothers hair model. And I wrote it down. I turned around and I showed them. I took a picture of it and posted it. And it wasn't 2 months, 3 months. It wasn't 5 months later that my friend Jarvis Bronner, who went to Bethune-Cookman with me, said, hey, the model call is here. Go over there. I already told them about you. Go handle it. And it was like over 200 models. It had to be, because I was number 204. And intimidated, smallest male model out of all of them. And I'm like, oh, man, these people have experience. I can't do it. Over 200 models became 20. The last 20 standing, and I was in that number. And I knew that came from writing the vision. And I was able to go back again, take that snapshot and say, listen, this is real. God is real. This is what happened. If we get more of these people to upload, hit social media, if we get our celebrities and our athletes and our politicians on board to turn around and say, God did this, then I think that our young people will fall more on board.
Absolutely.
No, I believe that, but I believe it's in stages, right? Like you got the big hit when the celebrities do it. The celebrity do it now. Like when they get up and get awards, they always, I want to thank God and all this other stuff. And for a certain point, it would go in one ear and out the other. But if it was done with the first stage being the community, right? Your friend, right? Getting connected to something that's within your community that don't even look like God, that don't even look like church, don't even feel like God, don't even feel like church, don't even feel like religion, don't even feel like spirituality. It's just me meeting you where you are, right? Like if you, for lack of a better term, if you a thought, right? And you out on the streets doing whatever you do, then I'll meet you in your thottish ways and I won't judge you and I'll be okay with you and I'll be comfortable with you and we'll connect.
My
and
God.
in that place, when we're able to connect in that place and I'm able to put you around other women that were thoughts at one point in time and they're able to sit here and have conversation and respect you as being a thought, and then all of a sudden they see, not because you told them that they need to shift or they need to grow, they see that, wow, everybody in this circle's walking different. Everybody in this circle's leaning on something different, because what's going on right now, people, the world and religion push God and Jesus over there. And what we need to do as a community is teach people that it's right here. And the only way that you can teach people that it's right here is that they have to feel it. They have to, because you're not going to see. I've had kids come to me when we're out doing these campaigns in the streets, and they're like, dude, you the guy, you the truth. Like, I've been waiting for somebody like you to come into my life and show me and help it all make sense, you know? Like, I've been waiting for that And I'm like, bro, like, you watching me and you think you got it. You think you got it, but that's not it. I have nothing to do with it. There's something that's going to happen in your life that's going to transition everything that you're going through, and it's going to make you understand what that still small voice sounds like inside. It's going to make you understand what that connection is like. But we as a community have to position people in a way where they're in safe communities that allow them to be themselves. That's why the arts is so important. You know, the arts are so important because you can go in and, like, everybody I know that's ever been an actor or actress or whatever, like, they're the most open people. 9 times out of 10, the most spiritual people, you know, because they were able to release everything in a space where it was free with no judgments, right? And they were able to become whatever they needed to become in that space. And so it's creating those like no judgment zones.
I think, and I'm probably, like, when you guys speak about church, I'm probably lost because I'm like the person that probably never really been to church, but I definitely understand 100% what you mean when you say spiritual but not religious. And I think right now what we're going through is a conscious shift. And the conscious shift that we're going through is accepting that we're all imperfect.
Right.
Because we just went through a shift where everything was perfect, right? So your preacher was perfect, your politician was perfect, everybody wore a nice suit to pretend they're perfect, right? But now we're like, no, it's second chances. People make mistakes, right? And maybe that's what some of the turnoffs are to some of the younger kids, because they already know they're not perfect. They might say, I like to smoke weed, or I like hip hop. So because I like these things, I won't be accepted in your perfect world. You know what I'm saying? So the conscious shift is maybe because some of us that used to like the hip hop and like to smoke weed too are saying, okay, you know what? I did that same thing too, and look at me here. I'm still here today, and I'm doing these positive things. So, like you said, you meet the thought in their place, and you say, listen, this is how you change and correct course. I understand you was a little off course, but this is how you correct course. So, and I keep thinking about something, and if you look at what's going on with the Harvey Weinsteins and the Bill O'Reillys and all these people that's being outed, some of the things that we are doing now is going to be illegal in the next 15 to 20 years. The consciousness just haven't caught up yet, right? So remember, well, I'm a little bit older than you guys, but 15, 20 years ago, it was okay to call, you know what I'm saying?
No, really? I can't say.
Right? So look, 15, 20 years ago, it was okay to call a kid retarded, right? Can't do that now, right? Some of the things we doing now, we're not going to be able to do 15 or 20 years from now.
That's right.
Because we doing it now. We're comfortable in our space doing it now because it's accepted. 15, 20 years ago, these Harvey Weinsteins, these Bill O'Reillys, they could harass secretaries in the early 70s and 80s. It was no problem with them harassing secretaries. Now, today, the stories that came out is because of their bad habits of what they learned back then. So, and I'm trying to put myself in that higher consciousness to say what's going to be different, or what we going to rise to say this is not accepted. Even though it's 2017 and we're consciously aware of so many different social problems, in 2030 or 2037, it's going to be a whole nother level of consciousness. And the younger kids are rising up. And they're the ones that's going to push that higher level of consciousness. So just like you said, they don't want to meet you at church. 20 years ago, it was like you was forced to go to church. You was forced to go to the mosque.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But nowadays, it's like you said, meet them where they are now. And that's acceptable now.
I want to throw a little wrench in the situation.
Go ahead.
Right? And so the wrench in the situation is, how do you all feel about Trump being president?
It's good for me for business.
Good for you for business. good for you for business. What else? What about you?
No comment.
No.
No.
Check it out. Hold on. Let me say this also. Trump is about to raise us to a higher level of confidence.
And that's where I'm going.
Because
that's exactly where I'm
he's
going.
so ugly, some other people going to stand up and be like, oh my goodness, am I this ugly because I supported him?
No, but check this out.
And they're going to change after he get out the door, whenever he get out the door. But some people got to look at him and say, yeah, I used to be that guy.
Check this out.
It's a place of uncovering right now.
Exactly.
It is a place of exposing, because what has happened in his space is that people that were quiet about who they were are more vocal, so you get to truly see who people are as opposed to the mask that they had on.
It ain't even about the people. It's about what God is doing, period. It's about what God is doing, period. A pastor said it, and it just blew my mind. He said the human body is self-healing. Like if I cut you right now, it's going to heal itself. Mm-hmm. The nation is a body. We're a body of people. In the body of Christ, we're a body of people, just members of the body. And what the body is, what's going on with the body right now, the body is sick. And in order for the body to heal itself, it has to identify itself as being sick. And so what's going on right now with Trump being in that position is giving everybody an opportunity to understand how sick this nation is, so that God can step in that space of acceptance and do what he got to do. Because if you're an alcoholic and you don't say you're an alcoholic, there's no fixing that could be done. If this nation is corrupt, if this body is sick, if this nation doesn't accept that it's corrupt, and the body doesn't accept that it's sick, there's no space for God to move in. But what God is saying is like, listen, y'all, like, it's time. It's time. And if you sleeping, allow me to wake you up. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. And so it's like a lot of people, it's crazy when you hear this political conversation and people start talking about Trump, and it's like, I hate him because of this, I hate him because of that. It's like, you better thank God for Trump. You better thank God for Trump, because with that situation, it's creating the space for the next generation to be greater than any generation has ever been before. Because in this next generation that's coming about, that's where God's going to do, like, he's going to be all over that. And so people, perspective.
It is about perspective. We're so excited to have our next guest on the show. Before I even let him speak, I was at Wolf Creek Library doing some interviewing some instructors to put in some schools for different programs that we're running. And I met a lady from your church. She was inside the library, and you could feel people watching you, and she just kept looking. And finally, when I finished my last interview, she came and she said, I don't know who you are or what you do, but I've been watching you, and I feel like I'm supposed to meet you. And as I started to talk to her about some of the things I do, she was like, I know somebody you need to know. And that's how this connection was made. So welcome to the Living Like a Boss show, Pastor Stephen Palmer.
Hey, well, thank you.
I'm so used to it.
Yes. So it's so good to have you here. It's always great for me to hear members edify their pastor. It blesses me, because I know the kind of impact you're having on their lives. For me just to share a little bit, she's like, hold on. I know an amazing man. I just was mentioning boss, right? And the men show, I know somebody you got to meet. So tell our audience a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, West Philadelphia, I was born and raised on the playground where I spent much of my
All right.
You see my broken arm. No, I'm born and raised. I'm an Atlanta native. I'm a native. I'm Southern, not country. So born and raised here in Atlanta, Georgia. I ran from pastoring all my life. I knew I was supposed to be a preacher and a businessman. When I was since the age of 3, I've had people tell me, I always say you want to be a preacher and a businessman. So I ran from church. I was a ratchet Christian, a real ratchet Christian. I'd be in church Sundays, Wednesdays, Bible study, because my parents are pastors, uncles are pastors. Bishop Brunner is one of my spiritual fathers and my mentor. He's family as well. But it's a lot of stuff I will run from because I didn't want to be in religion. It was not until I got detoxed, and I religiously detoxed, what I realized this is not about religion, it's about relationship. Mm-hmm. So I started having a relationship with Jesus Christ. And I started seeing him for myself, experiencing for myself, where there's times I should have had somebody pregnant, there's times I should have been dead, there's times in jobs, I didn't have degrees like everybody else, but I've been a chief of staff for a state representative. I've worked at a Fortune 500 company where I've been in investment banking, didn't have a degree. I mean, even now as pastoring, I didn't ask for this, it stumbled across me. My last job was with the governor. I was actually the special projects coordinator for the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. Don't have a degree to do that. They called me on the phone and said, we need somebody to come do this. And I've always seen my steps ordered, and I'm like, dang, I can't run from you, God. And I said, one of the things if I'm going to be a pastor, I don't want to be a pastor that has this title, that has this show, this prolific show, but has no transformative power. Right. You just talk. Right. I don't want to be religious. So I said, I'm going to be myself. I'm going to be cool, calm, collected. I'm going to be raw. I'm going to be rugged. I'm going to tell you my story. I'm going to tell you, look, I am not perfect by no means. Right. And I'm still not perfect, but I am available. I'm available. I've availed myself to God and said, Lord, use whatever is in me. If you got to remove it, if you got to extract things out, if you got to put something in, put it there. And I was scared running into ministry because I thought that I would have to stop business, but that never stopped business. Revelations 1:6 calls us kings and priests. Mm-hmm. Kings have resources, priests have vision. God called you both. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to have influence. You're supposed to have impact. You're supposed to be able to come into society, into cultures, into lives and change them. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to do that. And that happens with money. He who has money, he has many friends, but he makes decisions. So it's one of those things that God, I see him raising it up. Ironically, you were all talking about, that's why I was on the corner like, put me in. Put me in, coach. Like it's burning. Deep calls the deep. So I found that, and in this new year, 2018, the Lord began showing me is a shift. And one of the shift is, it's no longer the four walls of the church. It's outside. It's marketplace ministry. It's where you're operating in excellence on the mountain of entertainment and modeling, on the mountain of education, on a mountain of entrepreneurship or business, whatever you're in, government. God is establishing people there. And you don't have to be behind a pulpit. I'm preaching that to my members, and I'm just an executive pastor. I serve under pastors Mark and Real Talk Kim Pothier. Yeah, so that I'm their executive pastor. And coming in there is I love our church. I love the uniqueness and how unorthodox we are. Mm-hmm. And this is the way for this is the season, but this is the time. Christ was never orthodox. Mm-hmm. They looked at him, called him a rebel. Yep. But he had so much impact, so much influence that he was transformative, that he could take 12 men and change the world. And that is my whole insight. What can I impart? What can I give? My job is to inspire people to know God. Yeah. How you living? How you living? And inspire people to know God and fulfill their purpose. That's what gives me my boost. That's what gives me my energy. I love to see people operate in their giftings and their callings. That's it.
That's awesome. So you were in the back saying, put me in.
Put me in.
What was on your heart? What was it that you felt like you just had to say?
No. Don't put the mic down. See, we talk about.
Move up a little closer. You're in the light right now.
I got the light. Got the bigger light. I realized this. I said, you said something earlier. Like you said, the world is sick with sin. It needs a physician. But the church, we have a sick mind. We need a psychiatrist. Mm-hmm. We have yet to transform our mind. And one of the things when it comes to the next generation, in reaching the lost, and I'm a millennial, and I don't wear a suit anymore. I don't have to, thank God. But it's not about what I dress. It's about how close am I willing to come in and connect. I know we said spirituality. I love spirituality because that's an individual type of mandate. But this is a collective effort that we have to have. And that comes with relationship. Mm-hmm. And one of the things when it comes to reaching the next generation, our next men and young women and people, these are the next leaders in our society. People who are going to be making the decisions. It reminds me of a story of Elijah. And this is the only time in the Bible you see where this man who has opened blind eyes, who's healed people before, what he did was instead of him putting oil or throwing, holy water on somebody, he says he closed the door. He just got in the room with the dead boy. And he put his mouth where his mouth was. He put his hands where his hands was. He put his feet where his feet was. And you say, what in the world? He basically got on top of him. And the revelation or the impact of that is, if I want to revive this next generation, I've got to be willing to get down where they are. I've got to be able to talk their language. I got to be able to put my hands where their hands are. I got to put my eyes where their eyes are. I got to be able to go into the streets. I got to be able to go into the places that nobody else is doing. And I think you're going to get a lot of religious flack from that. And that's good. I want to stir up those who have been in church sitting so long. Even in politics, individuals who've been sitting there and you've been under this old regime. This is why this stirring up is awesome. And as men, if we're really going to boss up, it's not that we know what's going on right now. Yes, we understand the present, but we're looking to the future and say, okay, how can I prepare for that? How can I bring those people? You got it, Sun Tzu. So this is the time, this is the season, this is the place where it's not just us getting our things together, but I'm raising up a next generation. Jesus was always thinking perpetuity. I'm thinking for the next generation. Who's going to take care of who's going to take care of this when I'm gone? Who's going to take care of that when they're gone? See, I'm automatically thinking, I talk with my hands. I want to go like this. I see how weird it feels, but because I'm going like this. But who is going to be that person, that man, that woman? Who's going to be the Regina? Regina, your name means queen. And while you were sitting there talking, forgive me, Holy Spirit, but I'm going to keep going. I saw a woman like Esther. Most people don't realize what Esther was. She was not just a woman of beauty. She was not just a woman of class. She was a woman of access. She gave the Israelites access. So what I see God doing in your life particularly is giving you're giving men and women, specifically not just for this show, but you're giving people who never had access and exposure. You're giving them that access and exposure to say, this is what it looks like. This is what you can have. This is what a queen does. She doesn't sit on the throne and just twiddle her thumbs or look pretty. She's a woman of elegance, and that means she gets her hands dirty. And most people just see the crown, but they're not willing to do the carpentry work. You'll get there later. Jesus was a carpenter. So it's like, Father, what is it that you're doing? And God is raising up. It's not ironic that we all here. It's not ironic at all. And I really believe that this is where the impact happens. That's why I was like, let me get in. I want to get in. I get stirred up. I get excited about it. Like even when you was writing the Jamal, you said write the vision, and it struck me. It struck me like a ton of bricks, because I was like, Father, everything that happens in our life is not by happenstance. This is not, like you said, it's not coincidence. God, Psalms 138 verse 8 says, the Lord will perfect that which concerns you. Like everything concerns you. Like everything that we do, everything that we say, every place that we go, it's not ironic. That we're there to be salt and light. And I'm supposed to transform it. If I'm not transforming, I have to ask the question, Father, why am I even here? Is this the place I need to be? And this is the impact that each of us have. Even you, man, you're a king and you don't even realize it sometimes. Because sometimes for you, you have to be the warrior. Most people see the warrior, but they don't realize there's a king. Kings and priests. Kings went out to battle. Priests came back, and most people don't realize the priest was bloody too. Because when it came to sacrificing, he had to take the blood, he had to take this animal and sacrifice it. It was a bloody type of sport. And most people don't realize when it comes to us being kings, that means I got to fight for something. You're not just fighting for your daughters, but you're fighting for your daughter's husbands, your daughter's children. You're not just fighting for them, but you're fighting for the men and women who out on the streets like, where is my access? Where is my access? Who's going to be my door? There's three types of people in ministry. There's doers, there's donors, and there's door openers. Which one are you? It's best if we're all three, because doers, they'll carry that vision for you. They'll go out and take the vision. They'll make it, they'll run with it. Donors, they'll give you their money, they'll give you their resources, they'll give you everything else. The third are the door openers. They'll say, hey, come to this platform, come to this level.
We're back.
And God's
It's the
called us to
Regina
be,
Sunshine Show.
Forgive me, y'all. I'm teaching.
Go ahead.
God has called us to be doers, donors, and door openers. And some of us only have one place. But the men and this woman at this table right here, I know God has called us to have all three. And the question is, what do we do with that? Even those watching, those listening, what are you doing with the opportunities and the privileges and the access that God has given you? Because if you're not doing anything with it, you're not a boss. You're just a slave to society. You're a slave to this world. You're a slave to your circumstances. And don't think that anything new is going to take place in 2018. It'll be a new year, but you'll be an old you. Sorry if I talk too long. That's
No,
you good.
I'm so, yeah.
Drop the mic right there. That was good. That was good.
No, y'all started some things are taught, but most things are caught, and that's why you have to be in atmospheres like this. Things get stirred up. I came in. I told you I had a rough morning. I got a fractured elbow. I had my daughter with me. My wife went back to work. I had to call my sister to come help me. It was a lot of stuff. I couldn't find a place. But Lord, it's when you get in that atmosphere, when you get that accountability, when you get those connections, people that sharpen you like, hey, Steve, get it together. Yeah. You're missing the mark here, bro. Yeah. You need to check yourself. This is what it's about.
For me, my faith is knowing. You know what I'm saying? That for me, it is knowing. When I say that I know that my God is going to do exactly what he said he's going to do. It's not a question for me.
Right.
If it's like if he told me to walk outside, and when I get out there, there's going to be a yellow balloon out there that I'm going to take and I'm going to pop it and money's going to fall out. I'm going outside because I believe, I know that when I get out there, that it's going to be there. And so for me, when I say action, faith is moving out there, not just sitting here and say, well, God said, I hope you believe it when you actually go out and put yourself in that action process to receive it.
Millennials are used to the faith component, though. The way you talk about it, you pray about it, you have faith it's going to happen, and then they look at mom and dad struggle and complain that God ain't moving fast enough.
It's process, man.
Yeah.
It's process.
That's why I was coming on about that book called Don't Trust the Process, Trust the Purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when people operate in the knowing factor, like they eliminate, like, faith is it, but you operate in knowing. Like when people, this is just me, when people eliminate the term faith, period, right, and just say that I know without a shadow of a doubt that this is going to happen, and then when it happens, bro, I didn't have faith this was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Different people have different. I see what you're saying. That definition of faith, is what I talked about before. Our young people used to see. The faith I'm talking about is the knowing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. And some people have categorized it like, I have faith, so I hope. No. If you truly have faith, you know.
It's unfortunate. That's Musa said earlier, is that we have watered down religion. Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, I hate using that term. Christianity has been watered down, so those terms have been misconstrued. Mm-hmm. Like when Jesus was talking about the mustard seed faith, he was actually talking about action. If you have faith, you have to sow it, then you have the mustard seed.
Right.
It's talking about the proof of desire is in pursuit. So if I really believe it, I'm going to go do it. I told our team yesterday at church, I was like, look, faith is not blind. I know my life looks like hell, but faith is focused. I'm so concerned about what I believe and what I know his word says. Like I'm going after my dream.
Yes.
I'm going to be a New York Times best-selling author. So that's all I see. I'm not letting everything else around me be what I focus on, because whatever I focus on expands in my life. Mm-hmm. So I think one of the things we need to do is we need to bring the turn back up. But this is what it really is. This is Joshua and Caleb right now. We're the ones taking the promised land. Mom and daddy, auntie, cousins, no offense, all the seasoned people are not going to be the ones taking it unless they get on board. Oh, yeah. One of the things in my dilemma as a pastor is I may be too young. I'm too young to be relevant for the old heads, but I'm too smart to be relevant for the new heads. But the Lord was like, no, you're not. He said, do exactly what I say. So my job is I'm going to give you truth. I'm going to break it down in the simplest form. I'm going to give you truth. I'm going to show you truth in my life. For those who are behind me, I'm going to reach back to your monkey bars. I'm reaching back to grab you, but at the same time, I'm moving forward. If I'm a mentor to what we need to do, I think we all need to do, if I'm running a relay race, I don't turn around and hand the baton to Jamal. No, right. I reach back. He has to reach forward as well. Mm-hmm. So it recalls both of us to act. Both of us, I'm going to keep moving forward. You're moving forward. You may be behind me, but both of us require some action of us being connected. And I think that's one of the things, we see these things, I think we need to start addressing them. Like, yo, you know what? Faith, this is real faith.
You know what? Rebranding.
There it is.
That's the word of what we can do, because we're not our parents' generation of just do what I say and that's the rules, right? And the new generation, they do want to. They are plagued maybe by some instant gratification, but you know what? We can rebrand it to say, no, you got to take these steps. You don't always have to ask how, but know if you take these steps, it will come out. You know what? I mean this in a negative and the most positive way. I've done everything I ever set out to do. When I wanted to be the biggest drug dealer in the neighborhood, that's who I became. And guess how I did it? I did a certain action every day until, guess what? I got to the promised land of the direction I was going. When I wanted to quit and change, guess what? It wasn't easy. I was used to making money at a fast rate, and I was used to a certain level of life, but I had to get rid of that. And guess what? I did it every day until I got all of that negative part of my life out of it. When I wanted to become a real estate developer, guess what? It took me 5 years to find my first private lender, where I wasn't using banks, anything. But guess what? I worked at it every day. Now, guess what? I don't use banks. I don't even have to call a bank. I don't even know what filling out an application means. I don't fill out applications. I talk to old white men that need money to invest, and they end up giving me their money. That's what I do, right? And that comes from a skill set of me, maybe comes from the street, and me knowing how, getting a knack on how to deal with people and money and relationships. But what I'm trying to say by this is everything that I set out to do, I accomplished because I worked at it every day. And the younger generation got to realize that it's not microwave it's not microwave careers, right, or it's not microwave goals. It's you're going to have to get out there, and part of it is faith, and it is believing in yourself to say, basically, you the average of what you do every day. Mm-hmm. When I was a troublemaker every day. You understand? Now that I'm a father and I'm on my job and I'm a real estate guy, that's who I am every day. So I'm the sum of all my actions. And the sum of all my actions over time. I just didn't wake up today and then change tomorrow. No, it took some time to get there, but you will arrive. And that's what the rebranding I have to do, is teach them that if you have some faith and if you believe in yourself and you have some patience, you will arrive to your destination.
Absolutely. You know, I remember having a conversation with my son when he was in high school, like I said before, he's an MMA fighter. And there was somebody, they were having like a party or get together or something, but he had a tournament that he was supposed to be training for. And I told him, I said, you know what? I said, I know on television it makes it look like, you know, people just show up,
yeah,
and they're a star and these things just happen. I said, but you're going to have to make some decisions in your life to lead you down that path. I said, you can't live like everybody else lives. You can't do what everybody else does if you want to live an extraordinary life. I said, so I'm not going to tell you what to do. You need to decide, do I want this UFC belt bad enough that I'm going to go and train when my friends go and party? And you come back and let me know what you decide. And of course, y'all know he didn't go to the party. He trained. Exactly. And it's been amazing to see him, because he does believe that the belt is there for him. He understands he's got to take the actions to get to where God has told him to be. Mm-hmm. And I think it does help when we have the real conversations with our young people. Yes, you can have everything you want, but you can't do what everybody else does. Mm-hmm. You can't, you know, like you said before, I had to write it down. We are born looking like our parents. We die looking like our decisions. Your decisions have to be deliberately moving you in the direction of the things you say that you're believing for.
Exactly.
That's real. That's real.
Y'all done got quiet.
But you know what? What you just said is what I teach my kids, because a lot of people be like, Musa, what are you gonna do with your kids? You gonna push them in this direction, or you gonna push them in that direction? No, all I'm gonna do is give them. Let's talk about our book a little bit. I'm gonna give my kids a buffet of experiences. That's it.
That's right?
You're going to have so much experience and so many different things that you know the pieces of the puzzle that work and the pieces of the puzzle that don't work, right? Now, look, you can go any direction you want to go in. You know one direction you got to go is up, because I'm not going to let you go back. I'm not going to let you fall. But use the pieces of experience that I gave you to say, Daddy, I'm a speaker, or Daddy, I'm a real estate investor, or Daddy, I want to be an actor, or Daddy, I want to be whatever I want to be. But the minute, you know, and if I don't give you these experiences, then I'm not opening you up to the possibilities that your life, you know, that you have for your life. So that's my method of, I mean, we was talking about parenting kids, yes, right? So now we bring it full circle. Yeah. So, right? So that's what I'm doing for my kids. I'm not pushing them and saying, you got to be this or you got to be that. It's the experience of everything to say, this is what I learned. This is what's in my heart. Because I don't know what's in your heart, right? I mean, my son, I'm probably a little challenging with him. He's super smart. He may be a tech guy, and that's beyond me, right? But I gotta allow him to explore that lane.
Mm-hmm. And I think,
go ahead.
I think one of the biggest things, and I'm a new dad, but I've been building teams throughout the city of Atlanta for 10 years,
mm-hmm,
and these teams that I've been building have always been like high school based and up. And so when I had my first child, I'm telling them that I got my first kid, and they all like, yeah, but you've been a daddy. You already did. Like, what it is. That's what you want to call it. It is what it is. But one thing that's unique about the kids that are coming out today, this generation, they already know who they are. You know, and I was just telling somebody the other day where people mess up is they, and this is the conversation my girl and I often have because we parent different. You know, like she parents from a place of, this is what I want you to do. As far as the baby, like the baby's a month and 6 days. The baby can't even understand hello, you know, but you want the baby to do what you want it to do instead of adjusting life so that you're learning from the baby. And the baby is teaching you how to maneuver and teaching you how to move based off of what that child is. And so it's like when you were mentioning this piece about just giving experiences, it's like that's all that we're here to do. Like that's all that we're here to do.
Just keep living.
At the beginning of 2018, I'm jobless because I'm quitting my single family residential building. Like I got something greater that's coming. So me talking about swinging from the monkey bar to grab one to another one, that's going to be me. So I'm letting go at the end of this year, and I'm going to be swinging until I grab one the next bar. And you talk about having faith and having some scary and some uncertainty and everything. That's what the beginning of my 2018 is going to be. So I'm letting go of good and I'm going after great.
That's what's up.
Hey,
Woo!
I felt all of that.
Yes.
I felt all of that.
Yeah.
While you were speaking, though, I saw the Lord say this. You're not just grabbing on to another bar. You're grabbing on to a door now. Because it's the year of open doors. It's about to open up doors for you that have already been laid out. You made a decision to say, hey, I'm going to do this the right way. When you said, I'm going to do this the right way, the Lord said, okay, so I'm going to strategically, I already had this laid out for you. I was just waiting for you to go along this path. So 2018 is a year of open door for you. But it's not just a year of open door. Whatever you put your hand to, you're going to be able to turn. You're going to be able to go through. And that's what I saw the Lord say when you said that.
Appreciate that because
Well,
that's what I
have to be
felt.
obedient because just as the Lord spoke to you, He spoke to me and said, provision. You will lack nothing. As you go towards this next bar and these open doors, you will lack nothing. He doesn't want you to worry about anything.
Wow.
Be anxious for nothing, but pray for everything. All you have to do, whenever you feel those moments of loneliness, depression, or whether you feel like you have nothing else, you pray, and he's telling you right now, He will take care of it.
Wow.
I'm getting emotional right now because I know.
Yeah.
Woo.
Appreciate that. I needed that.
Well, you know, we're out of time, and I thought because we were out of time, I wasn't going to read the boss mandate, but I have to because I know it's for you, Musa. Joshua 1:6-9 says, be strong and courageous because you will lead these people to inherit the land I swore to their ancestors to give them. Be strong and very courageous. Be careful to obey all the law my servant Moses gave you. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, that you may be successful wherever you go. Keep this book of the law always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous and successful. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. It's already waiting for you, brother. And I just look forward to watching you shine. I just look forward to being on the sideline cheering as it happens. Well, we thank you so much for tuning in to our boss men. I'll leave you with the words I always leave you with. Remember this, you are a champion. You were born to win. You are more than a conqueror. You will achieve your dreams. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. You are magnificent, beautiful, amazing men, and you are worthy of the best things in life. We thank you guys for being here, for tuning in. I thank you guys. I've been so blessed by this. I'm ready to go I'm ready to slay some dragons right now. So we thank you. Make sure you tune in next week, same time. I leave you with our boss motto, our boss mandate. We always say our men need each other, and our community needs our men. You guys be blessed and keep winning.
God loves you just the way you are. You are beautiful because you were created in love. You were fearfully and wonderfully made. You have the seeds of greatness within you. You were born to live a victorious life. You are brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous. You are worthy of the best things in life.